Story number 1. When my uncle offered me the chance to house sit for him while he went on vacation in Europe with his family, I was excited to experience living alone for the first time. However, he warned me not to invite anyone over or spend too much time in the yard due to the large amount of snow that had accumulated, which could be dangerous. At first, everything went well until I was awakened in the middle of the night by a noise and discovered that a blizzard was raging outside. I then heard a noise at the front door and found footsteps leading up to it, but no one was there. Later, I saw a small child walking around outside in the snow, so I called 911 to report the situation. When the police arrived, they found the child, who appeared to be lost and wearing only a light sweatshirt. It turned out that he was a missing child who had been lost for months. A few weeks later, another missing child was found sitting in the street in front of my uncle's house. Although there was no evidence to suggest that my uncle was involved in these disappearances, the coincidences were alarming, and I began to wonder if there was more to his warnings and his sudden departure after his family had left for Europe. Nonetheless, the authorities searched the house and found nothing suspicious, leaving me to question whether these events were just a coincidence or not. Story number 2. Although I reside in a cold state that experiences massive snowfall during winter, I still consider it my favorite season due to the excitement that comes with snowfall and holidays. However, my job as a DoorDash driver part-time makes it challenging, especially when roads are not plowed or when snow covers them even after plowing. Nonetheless, I tend to work even during heavy snow and cover due to more orders and high tips from customers who understand the difficulty of ordering delivery during a blizzard. One evening in December, after finishing a few deliveries, I encountered heavy snowfall, which made driving challenging. Although my car had all-wheel drive and all-season tires, it struggled to move due to the heavy snow. After turning down another delivery request, I decided to head back to the main town slowly, hoping that the plows had uncovered the roads. As I drove cautiously, I saw a large object in the middle of the road, and before I could react, my car skidded off the road and into a thick layer of snow. I remained calm and collected, turned on my hazard lights, and called for roadside assistance. While waiting for assistance, I noticed an orange flashing light coming toward me, and a man emerged from a work vehicle to help me out. However, his sudden inspection of my car, opening the trunk, and scanning the inside raised my suspicions. I called the roadside assistance again and asked them to send another person, and a few minutes later, another man arrived, and I was successfully rescued from the snow. Story number 3. As a child, my family would make an annual pilgrimage up north to indulge in the time-honored tradition of ice fishing. Our destination was a secluded spot where our parents' friends owned a series of cozy cabins nestled in the middle of nowhere. After a brief pit stop at a gas station a mile away, we would venture out into the wilderness for an arduous 20 to 30-minute drive before seeing any signs of civilization. During one trip, as we made our way toward the cabins, we encountered an impending snowstorm. Fatigue and a longing for some indoor entertainment had settled in, making the 8-hour journey seem endless. Eventually, we arrived at our destination in the early evening as the winter sun began to set. Upon arrival, we unloaded our belongings and prepared to enter our cabin. The smart lock was an effortless means of entry that required nothing more than a simple code input to obtain the key. However, as I approached the door, I noticed footprints in the snow leading up to it. I alerted my father, who dismissed my concerns as likely the work of the cleaning staff. Despite my reservations, we entered the cabin, and everything seemed normal except for a bit of water on the floor that I assumed was from the cleaning staff's work. While unpacking in my designated room, I noticed tracks outside my window that appeared to be coming from the woods. Given the fresh snowfall, I deduced that they were made recently. I shared my observation with my father, but he brushed it off as insignificant. Later that night, I was woken up by thumping on my wall, which sounded like it was coming from outside my window. After a few more disturbances, I got up to investigate but found nothing. I locked my window and went back to sleep, knowing that there wasn't much else I could do. The next day, I showed my father the footprints again, and he still wasn't convinced. We decided to investigate and were shocked to find human footsteps leading from the woods to our cabin, right up to my bedroom window, the front door, and then back to the woods. We knew that there was nothing else for miles around, and nobody camps in the woods during winter. My father called his friends and explained the situation, but no one could provide any answers. To put our minds at ease, we set up some mini cameras to monitor the cabin. While fishing at the lake, my mother received multiple notifications from the cameras, indicating movement inside the cabin. We immediately called my father's friend to investigate, but he found nothing. Even the police could not provide us with any solid evidence, as the cameras only provided a live feed and didn't record footage. We stayed with my father's friend the following nights, but kept the cameras up and running. As we left the cabin, the cameras detected movement once again. My father and his friend rushed over to the cabin, but no one was there. However, we noticed the same tracks leading from the woods to the cabin that I had observed on the first and second days. Though my father considered following the tracks, my mother urged him to let it go. It was unnerving to think that someone might have been watching us while we slept or observed us from the windows. Thankfully, nothing ever came of it, and we continued to visit the area without incident. Nonetheless, the experience remained one of the creepiest events in my life. We stayed in a different cabin during subsequent trips, and my father's friend never discovered what was happening. Presumably, whoever was involved stopped coming after we left. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more updates.